When I stood up at my ex-husband's wedding to his mistress and said, "I hope you enjoy your honeymoon. It's a shame the credit cards won't work anymore," the room went silent as the truth hit them like a cold wave. My name is me, and this is the story of how betrayal tore my world apart, but justice put me back together. Let me take you back to where it all started, because sometimes the quietest voices carry the heaviest truths. My life before everything shattered was one of those simple, steady rhythms that you don't appreciate until it's gone. I was married to Harold for 38 years. We met in our early 20s at a church picnic, him with his easy smile and me with my basket of homemade apple pie. He was a salesman for a hardware company, always on the road, and I stayed home raising our 2 children, Emily and Thomas. I worked part-time as a librarian once the kids were in school, but my real job was keeping our home a sanctuary. I'd wake up at dawn to brew his coffee just the way he liked it, black with 2 sugars, and pack his lunch with a note tucked inside. "Have a great day, my love. Can't wait to hear about it tonight." Our house was a cozy 2-story on Elm Street, with a garden I tended every spring. Roses climbed the trellis by the front porch, and I'd clip fresh blooms for the kitchen table. Family dinners were sacred. Even when the kids grew up and moved out, we'd gather every Sunday for pot roast and stories. Emily became a teacher, married a kind man named Mark, and gave us 2 grandchildren. Thomas went into engineering, single but always calling to check on us. Harold and I would sit on the porch swing after dinner, watching the fireflies, talking about our dreams for retirement. We'd saved diligently. Our nest egg in joint accounts. Credit cards we shared for emergencies and vacations. I handled the bills, balancing the checkbook with careful precision. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, built on trust and quiet devotion. Looking back, there were small signs I should have noticed. Harold started staying late at work more often, claiming inventory counts or client dinners. His phone would buzz at odd hours, and he'd step outside to answer, saying it was just business. Once, I found a receipt for a fancy restaurant in his pocket, a place we'd never been together. I asked about it casually over breakfast, and he laughed it off. "Oh, that was for a colleague's birthday. Nothing special." I believed him because why wouldn't I? We'd built a life together, but those little cracks were there, waiting to widen. It was a Tuesday afternoon in early fall when the betrayal hit me full force. The leaves were just starting to turn, and I'd spent the morning baking cookies for the grandchildren. The phone rang at exactly 2:15 p.m. I remember because I glanced at the clock on the wall, the one Harold had fixed last winter. It was Emily, her voice tight and hesitant. "Mom, I need to tell you something. It's about Dad." My heart skipped a beat. "Is he okay? Did something happen on the road?" She paused, and in that silence, I felt the world shift. He's seeing someone else. I saw them together at the mall last weekend. A younger woman. "Mom, I'm so sorry." I felt my hands go cold, the receiver slipping in my grip. "What? That can't be right. Your father wouldn't." But she insisted, describing the scene. Harold laughing with a woman in her 40s, arm around her waist, buying her jewelry. I hung up and sat at the kitchen table, staring at the cooling cookies. My mind raced disbelief, then hurt, like a knife twisting slowly. When Harold came home that evening, I confronted him calmly, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Harold, Emily saw you with another woman. Tell me it's not true." He stopped in the doorway, his face paling. For a moment, he looked like the man I'd married, vulnerable, caught. Then his expression hardened. "Me, it's not what you think, but yes, there's someone else. Her name is Vanessa. We've been seeing each other for a year. A year." The word echoed in my ears. I couldn't breathe properly. My chest tightened. "How could you, after everything we've built?" He sat down across from me, not meeting my eyes. "I'm not happy anymore, me. Vanessa makes me feel alive, young again. I want a divorce." The words landed like blows. I stood up, my legs shaky, and walked to the window. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked, oblivious to my world crumbling. Who is she? How did this happen? She's a receptionist at one of my clients' offices. It started innocently. Coffee talks, but it grew. I love her, me. I'm sorry, sorry. That word hung in the air, meaningless. We talked late into the night, me pleading, him deflecting. We've grown apart, he said. You deserve better. But his eyes told a different story, excitement for his new life, indifference to mine. By morning, he'd packed a bag and left for a hotel. I sat alone in our bed, the sheets still warm from his side, tears finally coming. How had I missed it? The late nights, the distant hugs. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was the end. The next weeks blurred into pain. I called a lawyer, a kind woman named Susan, who'd been recommended by a friend. We divided assets house to me, half the savings, but the credit cards stayed joint for now as we sorted debts. Harold moved in with Vanessa, and the whispers started. Neighbors glancing sympathetically, friends calling to check in. Emily supported me, but Thomas was torn, saying, "Dad's just going through a midlife crisis." I felt betrayed not just by Harold, but by the life I'd trusted. Yet even in the hurt I held my head high. No screaming matches, no public scenes. Dignity was all I had left. But that wasn't the end of it. What happened next made the betrayal cut even deeper. The divorce proceedings dragged on for months. Harold pushed for a quick settlement, eager to start fresh. Vanessa was there in the background, I learned, pressuring him, dreaming of their future. One evening, as I reviewed bank statements alone in the quiet house, I noticed unusual charges: dinners at upscale restaurants, hotel stays, even a jewelry purchase. My stomach knotted. These were on our joint credit card, the one we'd kept active for shared expenses like the kids' old student loans. I called Harold the next day. "What's this? Charges from last month, hundreds of dollars." He sighed over the phone. "Me, it's nothing. Vanessa and I went out a few times. I'll pay you back." "With what? Our money. This card is in both our names, Harold. You're using it for your affair." "It's not like that anymore. We're together now. Just let it go." I hung up, anger simmering for the first time. Let it go, after 38 years of scrimping and saving, but I stayed calm, noting the charges, gathering statements. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of their arrogance. The betrayal didn't stop with the divorce papers. It escalated, layer by layer, revealing how deep the deception ran. Harold and Vanessa grew bolder, assuming I'd roll over quietly. They announced their engagement 3 months after the divorce finalized, a slap in the face. Emily told me over tea, her eyes filled with pity. "They're getting married in the spring, Mom, at the country club." I set my cup down carefully, my hands steady. Already? Well, I suppose that's their choice. Inside it burned, but I focused on rebuilding, joining a book club, volunteering at the library, spending time with the grandchildren. Yet the financial slights continued. More charges appeared: flights to a weekend getaway, spa treatments. When I confronted Harold again, his tone was dismissive. "Me, stop nitpicking. The card's joint. I'll square it up later." "Later, Harold, this is theft. You're spending my half too." He laughed, actually laughed. "Your half? Come on, we've been through this. Vanessa deserves nice things after waiting so patiently." Patiently? While I grieved our marriage, I ended the call, my resolve hardening. I tried reconciliation for the kids' sake, invited Harold to Emily's birthday dinner, hoping for civility. He brought Vanessa uninvited. She sat there in a tight dress, flashing a diamond ring. Paid for, I suspected, with our card. "Hello, me," she said sweetly, extending a manicured hand. "No hard feelings, right? Life moves on." I shook it politely, but inside I seethed. During dinner, she dominated the conversation, gushing about their wedding plans. "We're honeymooning in Hawaii. Can't wait for those beaches." Harold beamed, patting her knee. The kids shifted uncomfortably. After they left, Emily hugged me. "Mom, she's awful. How are you staying so calm?" "Because losing control won't help," I replied. But privately, I wondered the same. Neighbors started noticing too. Mrs. Jenkins from next door pulled me aside one afternoon while I watered the roses. I saw Harold and that woman at the grocery store. She was using a card that looked like yours, bragging about their trip. My cheeks flushed. "Thank you for telling me." That night, I poured over statements again. Thousands in charges, clothes, gifts, even wedding deposits. It wasn't accidental, it was deliberate. They were draining what was left, assuming I'd forgive or forget. But what I didn't know was that things were about to get even worse. One rainy evening, I overheard a conversation that shattered any remaining illusions. Thomas came over for dinner looking troubled. As we cleared plates, his phone buzzed. A text from Harold. He showed it to me reluctantly. "Son, tell your mom to back off the card stuff. Vanessa's stressed about the wedding. We need it for the vendors." I stared at the screen. "He's asking you to mediate, to pressure me." Thomas nodded. "Dad says it's temporary, but Mom, I think they're in over their heads. Vanessa's pushing for a lavish ceremony. Band, flowers, the works." That's when anger replaced hurt. How dare they? I'd sacrificed my career for our family, stretched every penny. Now they treated our shared resources like their personal ATM. I thanked Thomas and saw him out, then sat in the living room, the clock ticking softly. How could I have been so blind? I whispered to the empty room. This wasn't a midlife fling. It was a calculated escape, with my money funding it. The next day, I drove to the bank, my hands gripping the wheel. The teller, a young man named Alex, reviewed the accounts. "Mrs. Thompson, these charges are indeed on the joint card. Since the divorce isn't fully settled on liabilities, it's tricky, but it's fraud," I insisted calmly. "He's using it without consent for personal gain." Alex nodded sympathetically. "You could freeze it, but that might complicate things, or cancel and reissue in your name only." I left with options swirling in my head. That evening, I called Susan, my lawyer. "Harold's misusing the joint cards. What can I do?" She listened patiently. "Document everything. We can file for reimbursement, but if he's racking up debt, canceling might be best. Just time it right. No impulsiveness." Her words grounded me. This wasn't revenge, it was protection. I started gathering evidence, printed statements, screenshots of texts. Meanwhile, invitations arrived for the wedding. Harold's note, "For the kids' sake, come. Let's be adults. Adults." While they partied on my dime, I RSVP'd yes, a plan forming quietly. How could someone do this to the woman who stood by them for decades? What would you do in my situation? The discoveries kept coming. Digging deeper, I found emails on our old shared computer Harold hadn't logged out. Messages to Vanessa. "Me won't notice the charges. She's too trusting. Once we're married, we'll close the accounts anyway." It was a plan, long, term, and cold. My heart ached, but determination grew. "This ends." I told my reflection in the mirror. I confided in my book club friend, Lydia, over coffee. "You're stronger than you know," she said. "Get a financial advisor. Protect yourself." I did, Mr. Patel, a quiet accountant, reviewed everything. "These charges are unauthorized post, divorce intent. You can dispute them, cancel the cards." We mapped it out. I'd wait until just before the wedding, when their plans peaked. Cancel the cards, file disputes. Harold and Vanessa grew arrogant. Vanessa even called once, her voice dripping honey, me about the card. "Could you approve a higher limit for the dress?" I paused, feigning confusion. "Why ask me? It's Harold's too." She laughed lightly. "Oh, he said you'd understand. After all, your family." Family? The word twisted like a knife. "I'll think about it." I replied evenly, hanging up. Inside, resolve solidified. While she shopped for veils, she had no idea I had already spoken to the bank manager. Little did they know I was 3 steps ahead. The planning phase was methodical, like tending my garden patient, precise. I met with Susan again, signing papers to separate finances fully. "We'll serve notice after cancellation," she said. "It'll hit during their honeymoon bookings." I nodded, calm externally. Internally, I questioned, was this too harsh? But no, their actions justified it. I changed locks, updated wills, even opened new accounts. Friends noticed my quiet strength. "You're glowing, me," Lydia said at book club. Meanwhile, wedding buzz grew. Emily shared details reluctantly. Vanessa's bragging about Hawaii flights booked on points, but extras on card. Perfect. I monitored charges, tickets, hotel deposits, all on the joint card. They assumed safety. One night, alone with tea, I reflected. Silence isn't weakness, I thought. It's strategy. The meeting with the bank was set for the week before the wedding. But that wasn't all. What happened next shocked even me. Tension built like a storm. The last straw came 2 days before the wedding. Harold called, voice demanding. "Me, Vanessa says you hung up on her. Approve the limit increase now." I felt my pulse quicken. "Harold, no. Those cards are for necessities, not your new life." He exploded. "You bitter old woman. After everything, you owe me this. Vanessa's making me happy. Unlike you." The words stung, but I stayed composed. "Owe you for what? Betraying me." He hung up, but not before muttering, "You'll regret this." That afternoon, another charge appeared, a luxury limo for the wedding, arrogance at its peak. I made one final call to the bank. "Cancel all joint cards effective immediately," I said. The representative confirmed, "Done. Any pending transactions will bounce." The wedding was in 48 hours. I had my outfit ready, a simple blue dress, the color of my old teapot. Everything was about to change, and they had no idea it was coming. As the wedding day approached, suspense hung heavy. I drove to the country club alone, the invitation clutched in my purse. The venue was lavish. Flowers everywhere, guests milling. Harold looked dapper in his tux, Vanessa in white lace, beaming. I took a seat in the back, Emily beside me. "Mom, you okay?" I squeezed her hand. "Yes, dear. Let's see how this unfolds." The ceremony was quick, vows exchanged with guests applauding. At the reception, toasts flowed. Harold raised his glass to new beginnings. Vanessa giggled, whispering to him. That's when I stood during the open mic for wishes. Hearts pounded mine steady. I approached the microphone, voice clear. But wait, what I said next would echo forever. The hall quieted as I spoke. No, not yet. The peak was in their oblivious joy. They cut the cake, danced, planning their escape to Hawaii the next day. Flights, hotel, all tied to that card. I mingled politely, overhearing Vanessa. "Can't wait for my ties on the beach. Harold spoiled me with upgrades, spoiled with my money." The moment built, I waited for the right instant. Finally, as they prepared to leave amid cheers, Harold hugged the kids. Vanessa kissed guests. I approached calmly, a small smile. "Congratulations," I said softly. Harold nodded warily. "Thanks, me." Then the sentence, "I hope you enjoy your honeymoon. It's a shame the credit cards won't work anymore." Their faces froze. Vanessa blinked. "What?" "I've canceled them, all joint accounts, the charges you've been making, disputed. The bank knows everything." Harold's color drained. "You can't. Our flights, the hotel, will bounce." I finished calmly. "You assumed I'd let it go, but betrayal has consequences." Guests murmured, realizing. Vanessa turned to Harold, panicking. "Fix this." He stammered, "Me, please, let's talk." I shook my head. "Too late. Enjoy your new life on your own dime." I walked away, dignity intact as chaos erupted. The reveal unfolded like a carefully planted seed blooming. Harold and Vanessa's shock turned to desperation. As guests whispered, Harold pulled me aside in the hallway, his tux rumpled. "Me, this is cruel. Our honeymoon, it's all booked on that card. Call the bank, reverse it." I met his eyes firmly. "Cruel, like using our savings for your affair. No, Harold. Susan's filing for full reimbursement. The lawyer has the evidence. Vanessa joined, tears smearing her makeup. You bitter witch, we deserve happiness. Deserve? I replied evenly. Happiness isn't built on theft. The accounts are frozen, disputes in process. Your vendors will call soon. Indeed, Harold's phone buzzed the hotel, confirming payment failure. Sir, the card declined. We need alternate payment or we'll cancel. Panic set in. Guests overheard, citing whispers turning to support for me. Emily stood by, proud. Dad, you brought this on yourself. Thomas, conflicted, admitted, Mom's right. This was wrong. The justice was swift, systemic. By evening, their honeymoon evaporated, refunds denied due to disputes. Vendors demanded cash. They scrambled. Susan served papers the next week. Lawsuit for fraudulent use, seeking repayment plus interest. Harold raged in calls, you'll ruin us, but I remained unmoved. You ruined us first. This is fairness. Vanessa's arrogance crumbled. She begged via email, please me, we didn't mean harm. Too late, the court ruled in my favor months later, full restitution. Harold's assets garnished. Their marriage strained under debt. Whispers said they argued constantly. In the aftermath, life bloomed anew for me. The house felt lighter. I redecorated, planted new roses. Emily and I grew closer, grandchildren visiting often. Gran, you're a hero, little Sophie said. Thomas apologized. Mom, I should have seen Dad's faults sooner. Even some old friends reached out. Me, we always knew you were the strong one. Harold, he faded, moved to a smaller apartment, Vanessa leaving eventually when money dried. No bitterness from me, just peace. I volunteered more, found joy in simple things, morning coffee alone, but content. Secondary witnesses validated. Mrs. Jenkins hugged me at the market. Good for you, dear, they had it coming. Emotionally, I felt empowered, relieved, not vengeful. The pain shaped me but didn't define. Reflecting now, I learned trust must be earned, even in family. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It's often wisdom gathering strength. Family isn't just blood, it's those who respect you. If you're going through something similar, know that standing up, calmly and justly, can set you free. You're stronger than you think. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments. Remember, every story has a lesson, and yours might be just beginning.